Welcome to the Ignition News, your unfiltered, uncensored source for the actual truth in what is happening in the United States of America and around the world. We are not bought by the billionaires. We are here to be your source of truth in a time where truth matters more than it ever has. Be sure to follow along with your favorite platform on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Substack. Let's get busy with the truth. Welcome to the Ignition News. Let's ignite. And one. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ignition News. Today is January 24th, 2026. Usually on the Ignition News, we cover 5 to 6 stories, the information you need to know in order to be effective, in order to push back against this rising wave of fascism in the United States of America. And while we typically cover 4 to 5 or 6 stories on the news today, there is only one story in America today. The terror on our streets continues. America is an occupied country, and Minnesota is on the front lines of this occupation. As you probably well know by now, news reports are trickling in of yet another DHS and ICE-related killing on American streets. I'm sure you have seen the same footage that I have seen. I'm sure you have the same questions that I have. And sadly, we do not have answers right now. But I want to take a moment as someone who considers myself a member of the American resistance, and I want to speak directly to the people of Minnesota at this time. First, residents of Minnesota, we see what is happening with the terror on your streets at this time. In spite of a massive and sort of unprecedented attempt by both the flailing news media, the absolutely ineffective opposition party, algorithmic control and censorship of social media platforms, the capitulation of our politicians, and most importantly, the absolute failure of the American media, we see what is happening on the streets of Minnesota. We stand with you, and we stand ready to come to your defense. Welcome to the Ignition News, everyone. A 37-year-old man has been killed on the streets of the United States of America. There is once again blood on the streets in Minneapolis at the hands of the federal government. For those of you who may not be aware, reports are coming in today that about 9:05 a.m. today in Minneapolis, what we know so far is that DHS and ICE were conducting an immigration operation in the city of Minneapolis. I will pause to say that we now know with absolute certainty that these operations have been lazy, have been uncoordinated, ineffective, and have often resulted in detaining, arresting, or apprehending the wrong individuals. You may have seen, of course, the video of this old man, this 70-some-year-old man wearing no shirt, brought to his car in the cold in Minnesota, wearing slippers, a grandfather. As an example, what you may not have seen because of the failing media in this country is that that old man was eventually released because he was not a criminal. He was here legally. And likely this happens hundreds of times per day in Minnesota. When on January 6th, the United States government deployed 2,000 ICE and DHS officers to Minnesota, the next day, Renee Good, also 37 years old, was murdered on the streets of Minneapolis. The federal government lied about what happened to Renee Good, and they called her a domestic terrorist. There is no reason to believe the current story from DHS and the federal government at this time, though at this time they are saying as follows. Some version of they were involved in an altercation with this gentleman who had a handgun and apparently 2 magazines. Multiple video angles confirm a different story, multiple video angles of both the incidents leading up to this, and then, of course, the horrible altercation prove, in fact, that there was an excessive use of force. In the video, which is now widely circulating, you can see 6 to 7 federal agents attacking this individual, piling on top of this individual, putting their knees on this individual. 6 to 8 of these individuals piling on top of this individual, holding him down. But most importantly, in a now widely circulated video and close-up evidence, photographs and screenshots of what happened, we can see that it appears that one agent approaches the crowd after they were already on top of this individual, and it appears that he removes a firearm from the situation. We don't know if this was, in fact, the alleged firearm of the individual that was now shot. We don't know if it was a different weapon, but what we can see is that for sure, a DHS officer, whether that's ICE, DHS, or some other version of that, walks away from the scene. What is clearly not visible in the video is any sort of weapon in this individual's hand. But once that individual leaves and walks away with the firearm, we see a barrage of bullets. And then we see the United States federal government once again taking the life of an American, purportedly an American citizen, killing them in the streets of Minnesota over an ICE operation which is both unwarranted, excessive, and unnecessary. Another unnecessary death has happened at the hands of ICE, but this is indeed predictable. This is indeed predictable because ICE has been scaled and deployed to the streets of America, not for immigration, not to control or deal with a wave of what everyone now recognizes is a serious issue we need to take. We need to have a serious conversation about immigration in this country. We need to better handle how we process, how we utilize this system, how we do apprehend and detain individuals in this country, both legally on the asylum or immigration process, or people who came here illegally. But none of this is worth what we are seeing on our streets right now. So before I get into more information, I do want to be very clear about what happened. Thank you for following us here on the Ignition News. Normally, I would tell you more about what our show is all about. Normally, I would tell you, where you could go find the show. You can find that information by clicking up in the bio. But let me be very clear, since no one in the media or our elected representatives are not being clear. Let me tell you why this happened today. Renee Good was killed on January 7th, one day after 2,000 agents deployed to Minneapolis. This gentleman was killed today, January 24th, one day after the largest mass demonstration in the history of Minnesota, in the largest economic blackout in the history of Minnesota, in what was a moment of great hope and pushing back against this system. 8 men versus 1 person. They shot this person in the street one day after the largest economic blackout in Minnesota history. This is happening in the streets of our country for one reason. This is happening in the streets of our country because of a 79-year-old failed president who ran for office on the promise of making our lives better, more affordable, making the country safer, making the country a better place, as he would say, great again. But because this president is both incapable of doing that, because he is not competent, he is declining in his cognitive ability, he is selfish, corrupt, and incapable of governing the country effectively, and because he has surrounded himself with people who are corrupt, people who are incompetent, people who are selfish, people who are undereducated, and who are deeply unqualified for their positions of government. And let me remind you, being in these positions should require the best of us, the most ethical of us, the strongest of us, those with the most courage, integrity, intelligence, education, and ethics. But the government of the United States of America has been filled with the rot, the slow decaying rot. But unlike the president's hand, which is constantly covered in makeup to disguise whatever's going on with his hand, from state to state to state, city to city, from neighborhood to neighborhood, you cannot apply a level of orange makeup to what is happening in this country right now. And so to blind us from the vast failures of this administration, which are unprecedented in scope, the economy is worse than it has ever been. It is worse than it was a year ago. The president's approval is worse than it was a year ago. Your groceries are more expensive than it was a year ago. A pound of crab in the United States of America costs $70. I saw a photograph today of a one leg of crab at a Costco that was $40. And that's a leg of crab, not to mention healthcare, employment, the vast sweeping overreach of these tech oligarchs, AI quickly and rapidly ascending to destroy all of our jobs, steal all of our data, and to make the already wealthy oligarchs even more wealthy. This is the chaos. This is the actual chaos on our streets now that we are seeing now that they are trying to cover up with ICE. And what I have not been clear enough, but now what is abundantly clear and what I can no longer ignore is the following. The United States of America is occupied by white, nationalist, Christian fascists. They are utilizing DHS and ICE to ethnically cleanse the United States of America. And because most Americans are decent, hardworking, good people, they know that the only way they can accomplish this is by terrorizing us, by making us scared, and by making us hide in our homes. This is why, a day after the largest demonstration in the history of Minnesota and the largest economic blackout, they killed yet another person on the streets. I have seen the footage. You have seen the footage. There is nothing that has justified what happened today. But because I consider myself a leader in the American resistance movement, I want to be clear very quickly right now with you. If you are in Minnesota, or if you know someone in Minnesota, or if you know someone who knows someone in Minnesota, I need to be very clear with you right now. The situation on the street, 26th and Nicollet, is a very volatile, very dangerous situation. You are not served by contributing to that chaos and danger. Here's what we need to do. We need to gather all evidence of what happened today. We need to circulate widely that evidence. You need to find that evidence. You need to save that evidence. You need to take it off your phone and get it on a physical drive. You need to find all available footage of that instant. And if you are not yet aware, you need to start fucking recording everything you do everywhere you go. If you can't afford to find a solution for that, I'm going to challenge you that you should, in fact, go put it on a credit card. Get a camera, get a GoPro, get some kind of device. Because if there had not been cameras there today, if someone had not been recording today, they would have said they killed that man for good and just cause, in self-defense. But we know that's not what happened. You need to prepare yourself because you will inevitably be put in a situation like this. You will be put in a situation like this in your community. You need to be unafraid and you need to be ready to document the crimes of this administration. But let me also be clear, as a member of what I consider the American resistance, this is designed to keep you terrified. This is designed to keep you afraid. This is designed to make you think that the next time that you see something, that you simply keep driving, or that you simply keep going, or that you go home, or that worst of all, you pretend that this is not happening. But it is happening. More and more Americans are waking up to this reality, and we are best served by protecting our communities this way. We are now seeing religious figures in the United States, clergy, priests, rabbis, rallying to the cause, indeed putting themselves on the line, standing in front of this tyranny. Make no mistake about it. We are living in a time when priests and clergy, religious figures in this country have been very clear. The government is tyrannical and they are forces of evil. They lie. The government posted an AI image of a black woman they arrested. They darkened her skin. They made her cry. They wanted to convict and try her in the court of public opinion. And today, just like Renee Good, before an investigation has been completed, and in spite of what we are seeing with our own eyes, what we are seeing with our own faces, the government is lying to us yet again. I've seen many different videos, and I want to be very clear. I want to know the truth. I want to see the video. I want to know what happened. I want to see before, after, during. I want to see every square inch. Because yes, on the Ignition News, we report the truth. And the reality is, even though you want to jump to a conclusion, we don't know exactly what happened in this situation. But it is unquestionable. These agents responded with excessive force. This is a pattern of continued escalation from DHS and ICE, and they do not need to be there. They do not need to be in Minnesota. They do not need to be conducting these operations. But now we're seeing live from the streets of Minnesota. We're seeing them deploy pepper bombs and explosions, tear gas, orange gas, green gas on American streets. For what? And the reason is simple: to terrorize you. Normally, we cover 5 to 6 stories on the Ignition News, but today there is only one story. The United States government is overreaching, and it is run by incompetent people who have no idea how to de-escalate the situation, how to run the government effectively, how to make your life better. And so what they have done is they have chosen to terrorize you and to make your life worse. What happened in Minnesota today was unnecessary. What happened in Minnesota today may well be a crime, but just as with Renee Good, we know that this government may try to cover this up. Indeed, it appears they already have. And what we're seeing in Minnesota, just like we've seen before, is the jellyfish cowardice of the actual leaders, the people we've elected. I told you yesterday, we are alone now. All institutional resistance has failed. The courts have failed, law firms have failed, education has failed, the media has failed, business leaders have failed, and so that has left it to you. And so I will tell you, even though many of you may not want to hear this right now, if you are in Minnesota right now and you think the place to be is 27th and Nicollet, I'm telling you right now, you are wrong. It will escalate. It will get out of control. And what this government will do, run by these incompetent cowards, is much worse. So go home. Get the evidence. Hold them accountable. We will return to the streets on our terms. Do you hear what I'm saying? We will return to the streets on our terms, not on their terms. We will protect our community on our terms, not on their terms. We will preserve evidence on our terms. We will find the truth on our terms. We will save our community on our terms. We will tell the truth on our terms. I understand that people are upset. I understand that people are passionate, but you cannot win against these tyrants when you're passionate, upset, and you make mistakes. Don't make a mistake. Go home. There will be another day on the street. There will be another January 23rd. There will be more resistance. There will be larger resistance. We are alone now, but that does not mean that we are alone because we have each other. We will find out what happened today. This tyranny in America will end, but it will require you to have courage. Have courage today, not fear. Let me close out today's Ignition News with the following, if I wasn't clear enough. You need to make a plan to prepare, to record, witness, and document everything. You need to build effective community. You need to know who you can call in your neighborhood, in your town. I understand you want to turn on the news right now and focus on what's happening in Minnesota. If you do that, you're going to waste the rest of your day. Today, you need to find people in your neighborhood, in your town, in your community. Don't waste today because of the crimes of this administration. Once again, the United States government is lying to us about what happened. They will lie again, and they will lie when it happens to you. I find great strength in knowing that we have built a community here. I find great strength in knowing that we have the moral clarity of the moment. But if you are in Minnesota today, you need to go home. Not because we are cowards, not because we are weak, but because we are educated, smart, and we understand that this is our community. We will return to the streets on our terms. This has been the Ignition News, everyone. There are many stories happening in the country today, but today, January 24th, 2026, there is only one story. The United States federal government has killed another citizen in a failed operation run by failed people. But we will return to the streets on our terms. That's the show. All right, everybody. This has been today's episode of The Ignition News. Please consider following us on all of your favorite podcast platforms, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, or Substack. We're here to deliver to you unfiltered, uncensored news. Let's get busy with the truth on The Ignition News.